it's better. You probably have to click a button now to accept that. So, yeah, so just to repeat then, I'm Lucy, and I'm going to be talking about what is permaculture for you guys today. I'm going to look at a definition or two of permaculture and the permaculture ethics and principles, and looking at a bit about children in permaculture. And I've got a little learn more section, and we're not wanting to go past 9 o'clock, or we might all, I don't know, turn to pumpkins. So not be going for too long. But it is yeah, it's something I've been doing for a long time. So hopefully it's a bit of interest to you. So this is the first thing, the definitions of permaculture. There are lots and lots of different definitions of permaculture, and it was never like copyrighted, which I think is a really nice thing about permaculture, that it's actually different people come up with their own definitions, and you could come up with your own definition, and that's, you know, it's not set in stone. Bill Mollison and David Holmgren were the two founders of the term. And this is Bill Mollison's definition. So permaculture is the harmonious integration of the landscape and people, providing their food, energy, shelter, and other material and non-material needs in a sustainable way. So yeah, things that you might be taking from that. So it's landscape and people, or people and the natural world. So seeing how we can integrate into the world. And I think it's absolutely founded on the Indigenous worldview. Bill Mollison, first of all, learned a lot about the Indigenous people where he lived in Tasmania, just an island in the south of Australia. And yeah, did a whole thesis about them, and really it was like, how do we move away from protesting against things? What are we actually for? How would we want to vision the future? And it is meeting our physical subsistence needs, like food and water and shelter, as well as non-material needs. So I like to think about Max Neef's fundamental human needs, where he talks about subsistence needs, and then talks about other needs like understanding and connection and protection as well. And some people talk about beauty and aesthetics as well. Another definition of permaculture that I really like is permaculture is revolution disguised as gardening. So that was from Mike Feingold, who's in Bristol, and in England. And I think that has two key things. People think of permaculture as being gardening, but it's not just gardening. It's a way of seeing the world. It's a way of integrating. All your decisions can be made based on the ethics and principles and the worldview of permaculture. And that's why it can be considered revolutionary. I took a whole load of different definitions of permaculture and stuck them all into a word cloud program, and this is what came out of it. So keywords here are systems. So systems thinking, creating systems. So thinking about things as a whole system and designing them as a system, preferably a cyclical system. So where an output of one thing becomes an input to another thing. And yeah, that's the way that the natural world works. So trying to reduce waste and reduce inputs. So minimum effort and maximum effect. Design. So design, we do a permaculture design course. So design is really central to permaculture. And design includes, I think people think, oh, well, what's design? So you could design anything. You can design a garden based on permaculture. And also you can design your kitchen. You could redesign your house, you know, in terms of insulation, in terms of flows, about what's where to reduce wasted energy with you moving from one place to another, for example. Food is there, big one. Agriculture, energy, people. So yeah, some key words. So where the word permaculture came from is a contraction of permanent and agriculture, or permanent culture. So it's always had this two ideas. I don't know why I'm hearing a beeping noise. So the foundation of permaculture are the ethics of earth care, people care, and fair share. So earth care, what sorts of things do you think might be earth care? Any ideas?
Not trampling down wildflower meadows.
Yeah. Not trampling them down, but also planting them and caring for them and cutting them once a year and having them prosper. Absolutely.
And soil health.
Yay, soil health. Excellent. Yeah. So it's the physical earth, the soil, as well as the whole earth, the planet. And it comes from understanding ourselves as embodied as a part of nature. You know, if a bird is a part of nature, then a badger is a part of nature, and a tree is a part of nature, then a human is a part of nature too. And trying to have that mindset when we're out, well, when we're whatever we're doing and whatever decisions we're making, it can help us to be caring for our ecosystem, the place where we live. So as a summary, I would think of earth care as things that minimize your negative impact. That's the not trampling on the wildflower meadow, and maximize your positive impact on the earth. So minimizing your negative impact will also include thinking about how you transport yourself, reducing the use of fossil fuels. And then maximizing the positive impact could be more like planting trees and soil care, building soil, you know, carbon capture in soils, and yeah, actually proactively improving things. And I think as outdoor educators of children in particular, that focus on humans are positive. We can do good things for the earth. Yeah, it's quite an important thing to do, so that children have, you know, a sense that they have some power. So save the squirrel, you know, that's something that they can feel like they can do something positive there. Or plant a tree, you know. Positive actions as much as possible. And thinking of your abundance. So you might give up one thing, but through giving that up, you gain other things. Again, like if you don't know why I'm thinking about eating, I must be hungry. But if you eat less, then you have more, you know. Some people may like, oh, but that's less, but actually what you've got then is more energy and more capacity to do other things that you couldn't do before. So having that mindset of what you can do is really beneficial, and actually that brings us to the people care as well, and it's that attitude of caring for ourselves and each other. It's a nice little symbol there, the little heart in the middle of two people. Yeah, so what sorts of things do you think you might do that's people care?
Make permaculture accessible for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having a break to go get coffee before we started this.
Yep.
I've got in my head all the things that the kids have said to me, like be kind and don't call each other names, and if someone's feeling sad, then go and give them a hug and stuff like that.
Yeah, and those are all great answers as well. Absolutely. Yes, being nice to each other, and also remembering to be nice to yourself. Yeah, and I think as educators, we sometimes forget to be nice to ourselves. We're so busy looking after everyone else. Yeah, it's good to be making sure that you're fed, that you've slept well, you know, so that you can be there and be ready for everyone else as well. And then this one, fair shares, slice of a pie, also can be expressed as sharing the surplus or setting limits to population and consumption was one way of where it was said. But really, it's about how can we share. Yeah, it rhymes. People, earth care, people care, fair share. It's kind of nice. And kids really get this idea of being fair from a very, very young age. I've been teaching this children in permaculture course online, and I've had people from all over the world, like from Kenya, and I was like, did they say this where you are? Did little like 2-year-olds say, that's not fair? And they're like, yeah, we do. Yeah. So I think it's something really well understood from a very early age, the importance of being fair and having that equality between ourselves. And I like to think, broaden that out, not just between me and you, but what about being fair between me and the slugs? You know, can we plant some plants for the slugs and keep some for ourselves as well and ask them to be fair so that there's some left for us? Also between ourselves and people in other parts of the world, you know, how do we yeah, I'm just thinking about that news today about climate change, but how do we have a fair share of the Earth's resources? So there's ethics and there's principles. So principles have been learnt through observing nature, and someone else did this for us. So then they came up with these catchy little phrases that kind of helps us to understand what's going on better. A lot of times people will go into a forest or a natural place and be, oh, it's just chaos in here. But actually it's not. It's highly ordered, and it's ordered on patterns. And these are some of the patterns that you can see when you go in and observe these natural systems at work. Also the marine environment, you know, doesn't just, not just forests, kelp forests too. So this is observing and interacting. Obtaining a yield is a nice one. So thinking about how we need to make sure that there is a harvest for us, and that might be a food harvest, or it might be I learn stuff, and that's a harvest for me. There's lots of different types of yield, and that's a key thing about permaculture as well, as thinking beyond like kilograms of produce or amount of money that we make from a garden. There's lots of other kinds of harvests that you can get. You can, you know, have a harvest of enjoying the sparrows in your garden. That there's a place for the sparrows to live in your garden. That's a harvest too, or yeah, a yield. Produce no waste is another one down here, with the worm sort of showing about the importance of cycling, so that there isn't waste. There's no wastage. Every output becomes an input to something else. Yeah, diversity is another important one. Using and valuing diversity, the importance of diversity. So if you were doing a garden design, you wouldn't just have only potatoes growing in your whole garden. You would have different areas with different plants growing and different types of use. So it wouldn't just be a drive, thinking about the paved over gardens, but there would be space for you to sit out and have a glass of wine or whatever you enjoy as well. So you're getting multiple functions from the same space. And yeah, that's the diversity of the other species that are living there, inhabiting for you as well. So always thinking about how do we have different species living in our own places too. Any questions on principles? It is super late. This is a really lovely picture from Graham Bell's garden. Graham Bell sadly passed away last year, but I saw this picture when I was looking through. I was like, oh, it's just such a lovely picture. This is Graham Bell. This is Nancy, his partner, Jason. And look at this. He has a food forest that was 25 years old. And food forest is what people typically associate with permaculture. So that's where you have all the 7 layers that you would have in a forest. So the tallest trees, the smaller trees, the bushes, herbaceous, and then ground covers, and then thinking about the root layer and climbers. So think about all those different layers and designing your garden to have things in all those different layers. And this is obviously a soft fruit day. So in summer, they've all come and they've all harvested all that fruit. That's just amazing yield. I thought it was relevant to the Sustainable Development Goals as well. This one, zero hunger. Climate action is another one. This is Gatehouse School. And this is us planting an apple tree. And the variety of apple tree is called Katie. We actually had some people do a play about the Katie apple as well. Eco drama came down from Glasgow. And the Katie is such a brilliant tree. It's my favourite. We planted about 16 fruit trees there at the front of the school, but Katie's my favourite. And I don't know if it's because of the variety of apple or because it was the nursery children that planted it and then they all held hands and did a wee dance around it. I think it's probably the latter. It was just like so lovely. And it was just, yeah, a wee dance and a song and blessing the tree. And you can see this intergenerational work there as well. And that Katie is the only one with no canker, which is a fungal disease. And yeah, the fruit are just delicious. And quality education, one of the other sustainable development goals. This is also in Gatehouse School with the polytunnel and just the kids showing the amazing produce that they've harvested that day. Loads of carrots and corn on the cob that was growing in the polytunnel, and someone's enjoying a tomato for a red nose day. It's not just in, obviously we're in a rural area, it's not just in rural areas, it's also in urban areas. These are some pictures from Glasgow. This is Abby, who has moved to Dumfries and Galloway now, but this was what we call the Three Sisters, which is a plant guild where you've got beans that are growing tall, and they also fix nitrogen, so they make nitrogen available for other plants. And this is a squash, like a courgette or a pumpkin, and that's growing as a ground cover, so it's keeping the soil completely covered. So coming back to Bethan's point about soil, importance of soil health. These two plants, whilst giving us the produce, the food, are also building soils. Yeah, this is in Concrete Garden in Glasgow. And that was on a permaculture course when my son was 11, 7 years ago, and they're chopping up produce, outputs of one system to become inputs to the worms that you can see here. It says worms at work there. So yeah, it's chopping the plants up smaller to feed the worms. Oh, and the other thing is Scotland is there's actually, you can go and visit, there are different permaculture centres all over Scotland, all over England and Wales, and some are there's an island project developing around the world. And these are places where someone's visited and said, yeah, this is a good example of permaculture in action. And so these are both Urban Roots and Concrete Garden are examples, and so is the Hidden Mill. So if you want to visit a place in Dumfries and Galloway, the Hidden Mill of the place, this is Lorraine here, Lorraine Isaac, and this is a greenhouse that she built, which is really cool. So, like, it's not just a normal greenhouse, it's got extra funding to make it happen, and there's pipes under it, and it circulates the air around, and it's super efficient, and there's a solar panel in it, and it just, yeah, sort of a very clever system, this solar battery greenhouse. And this is when we were there on the permaculture course last year, and some of the activities we were doing on the course. We created a wildflower meadow under this area that had been mulched. Oh, something about children in permaculture. So this is Gaia Amos, who lives in Finland, is Turkish, and she's the co-author of our book. And she was saying, by engaging children in permaculture, we'll have a more resilient generation. So it's also about building resilience that learns from nature and develops a more caring relationship with the earth and each other. And in the book that we wrote together, I'm going to sneeze, I'm trying to find the... Oh, looking for the button so I can mute and not sneeze in your ears. Yeah, so it's gone. Eyes, heart, hands, and head. So heart, hands, and head is something people are maybe familiar with as outdoor educators, but as permaculture design is based on observation and observation of nature, and so much of children's life is all about observation. We wanted to add in something about observation to that, just to deepen that and add additional emphasis when we're talking about our children in permaculture pedagogy. So the eyes is representing observation with all the senses, as well as heart, so learning through engagement of heart and emotions, hands through practical doing things, and head sort of more the academic learning, definitions and vocabulary and mathematical things. Yeah, that's Callywood. It's beautiful in May, not long now. That's a sustainable transport method. It's a wooden cargo bike. And that's Robin drinking from the birch tree in the spring. And that's Robin at the food forest at Gatehouse School. It's one of the trees that I showed you I was planting a couple of minutes ago. And that's Graham Bell's food forest. I also showed you a picture of, just to show you, this is the typical way that a food forest is. It's, you know, looks like a forest, but you can adapt that in. You can have, you know, a 2-meter square food forest like these ones, where there's, think of it as being little mini food forests. So you've still got 2 or 3 layers, even just directly under a tree. And those plants are helping, yeah, they're maybe fixing nitrogen or companion planting. Yeah, companion plants. And this is a diagram of how the orchard is demonstrating the 3 permaculture ethics of earth care, people care, and fair share. And that's a copy of, that's the book that we wrote all about children in permaculture. And you can buy it from Ecologic Books. There's a link there. And yes, we've got 2 permaculture design courses that are starting in March, one in Dumfries and Galloway and one in Glasgow. So both of them are actually half online and half in person. So the online elements will be together with the other course. And the content will be the same across the 2 courses, but the in-person Saturdays, the dates and venues are different. And I was gonna show you a different tab that shows you the Propagate website, where you can see the 2 courses there. And this is, yeah, a bit more information about the course there, in terms of what sorts of thing you learn about, because I think people often wonder, well, what really is permaculture? If permaculture can be applied to anything, which it can, what do we cover? So one thing is the permaculture design tools and theory and practice, and we actually do a design project. So you might design a garden, or you might design, last year in Whithorn, they designed, how do we engage the community in the orchard that's already in the public park? So you can do sort of more social designs, or you can do more like garden designs. We'll talk more about the permaculture ethics and principles that we've mentioned today, and soil that Bethan mentioned already. Soil is really essential. Foundation, of course, and the importance of living, thriving soil, and different tests that you can do. Yeah, there's lots to learn about soil, about water as well, and catchment and cleaning it, and yeah, looking after it and using it in different systems. Plants, so we do a plant of the day every time, so we learn about plants. About growing your food, of course. Buildings as well, we look at some different buildings in the built environment and resource use, and also social systems and contexts. So we do the work that reconnects normally for half a day, where we, yeah, we'll talk more about that, but it's about connecting with yourself and each other and with the natural world. So there are, so I said already, so there's a mix of online and in-person sessions, and these are the in-person sessions. So starting on the 16th of March at the Hidden Mill. I thought, let's start with that Permaculture Centre, and then we'll be going to Whithorn, where they're doing amazing stuff and all sorts of different projects and we'll find out about them, including the croft and the cafe, the community cafe. Yeah. And Auchencairn, where there's the food forest in the park, and Suey Fields, the market garden as well. Then we come to my garden and we do the work that reconnects in the Callywoods, and we'll be going for the last couple of sessions up in Dalry. And there's some Zoom sessions, and there's also self-study content. So everything that's online will be on this one community hub platform. The particularly cool thing about this, apart from that it's a sliding scale anyway to help people that have different income streams, the really great thing is that there's actually funding available, and you can apply for funding to do the course. So there's 2 different funds. There will be a third one coming up soon. One is for women and the other is for new entrants. So that one's called the Next Generation Practical Training Fund. And yeah, so it's for anyone. There's a big, they're saying there's more money in the Next Generation Fund than there is in the Women in Agriculture funds. So if anyone is interested in applying, should apply to the Next Generation Fund, if that applies to you. So that would be anyone who has started doing food production in the last 5 years or would like to do it. So you have to sort of say, oh, this is what I'm planning to do in terms of food production. But that could be community gardens as well as community, food growing and farming and small scale production to sell. Could be selling your nettles on the food hub, which is something I'd quite like to do. Yeah, so it's quite nice that there is that funding available. And yeah, it's a certified course as well. I think I've just gone past 9 o'clock. So I don't want to talk much further. Oh, there is an introduction to children course as well. That's entirely on Zoom with people from all around the world attending that. That's coming up in April. Fully on Zoom. Any questions?
Could you send the link to the course?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want me to email it to you?
Yeah, please, that'd be great.
Yeah, so thank you very much for that, Lucy. That was really interesting and informative. And as this is recorded, maybe we could actually have a link to it on our minutes as well, that people who haven't been able to get here today could have a little look and see a bit more about permaculture and hear a little bit about the courses as well.
Great. Yeah, we could put it on the, I'll work out how to put it up onto YouTube and then it can be shared from there.
Yes, that would be a good way of doing it. So DGOWL itself has a YouTube channel if that helps with that at all. And Emma knows how to do that.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
And then, of course, we can link it into social media and such things too.
Perfect. Ah, well, we're all tired now, I think.
I think John is maybe making an attempt to talk to us. Are you, John?
No,